What's up, party people? I'm back. How was your weekend? My guy was good. Thanks for tuning in. Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Live, the Real Ablaze live show. Live on Instagram. Bone was good. Send me some new music so I can play it. Send me some new music, baby. You already know. What you kind? Bad man na care. Is it I'm in a weird? Me and top over here. Bad man Nick get racing on me a being. What with that kill we are with? Welcome to the show, man. How y'all feeling today? What's good, God? You already know, man. I'm chilling. I'm just waiting for the cow house. Hey, girl. How you doing? Yo, send it to my email, ybodydashit@gmail.com. ybodydashit@gmail.com. Send me the music. Blown Woofer in the building. Miss Belinda is in the building. Send in that music so I can play it and give you some airtime and shine on you too, brother. You already know. Daddy Mac, you already know I'm Mac today. If you're just tuning in, you tune into the show. Okay, it's good. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hey, Bonnie. I am loving the look. I'm loving the hat. I'm loving the glasses. I'm going to come in your closet and do some shopping.
What's good, Cuzzo? Thank you. What's good, Cuzzo? Thanks for tuning in. Please share. Tell a friend. Tell a friend. 8 o'clock. Live on IG every Wednesday. The Real Ablaze Show. We are back, baby. Bust me dance. Bust me dance. Bust me dance. Bust me dance. Come down, now, selector. Come down, selector. You already know it's good energy, good vibes. You already know, brother. We are back for another Wednesday, people. Woo! Live and direct. Shout out to my buzzing, man. I love yo, Lenny, you already know, man. Love, brother. Support from day one. Love from day one. Always the same until we leave this earth, you heard? Please share. Belinda, you look very nice, like always. Like, how do you keep this? Like, you got things on phone, like Glancy up for the show tonight. You must got a whole team. Let's get an audience. Let's get an audience. Yeah, feel good today, Mom. Yes, Mom. Hey.
What is that you're playing? What music is that? Who's that by?
That's by Ye. That's by Ye off the 808 album. This is the beat that at the end of the album.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I like that beat.
Well, that reminds me of the garage days, right?
Word.
It was all about that hard beat.
Yep. Good vibes, good music, good energy. Rest in peace to my cousin who passed away, Child Smiley, and the rest of the family. Rest in peace.
Okay. Yeah, condolences.
His son is my cousin. I'm a Smiley too, so. Smiley family, hold your head. We just lost our auntie, so everybody pray. Okay. But we're gonna celebrate their life. We're gonna celebrate their life.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Hey. I see my guy. Taddy was good, baby. Much love from JB at Grindworks. Much love. Much love, brother. Money Sean was good, baby.
What, that's Money Sean? Okay.
Yeah.
What, the Cold War soldier? Is that the same
Yeah.
one? Sean.
Everybody just tuning in. Salute. What's good, bro? You already know, man. Trying to make it happen.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening.
Hello.
Tuning into the show. Tell us, tell us.
You get right here. What's going on, everyone?
Hey.
Everybody's good.
Yep.
Yo, it's been fantastic. Man, we got an audience early tonight. Wow, this is something. We got an audience early. Hey, big man. What's up, John Bonner from Toledo, Ohio? I want to check in. Or where are you? Are you in Dallas, Houston, or Toledo, Ohio? Where are you? I don't know where you are. But what's up? Good for checking in, man. Yeah, I'm here.
Let's go.
What's up, everybody? Sassy, what's up, mama? How's everything? Things good? Hope everything's good. Body, how you feeling, man? Belinda, how you feeling? How's everybody feeling?
I'm feeling great.
I had a good weekend. I had a good interview last night on Rockmart Radio.
Nice.
It was so good last night that I actually missed Chuck D's documentary on PBS last night. I missed it. Oh, you in Alabama? Wow. All right. We're gonna touch because I know we have to set up an open call. So we'll touch, John, real shortly. I know we got an open call coming up for the TV show that Ablaze is actually doing the soundtrack for.
Nice.
So, yeah. That's gonna be dope. I'm looking forward to getting that. That's gonna be up and running shortly. Body, how you doing, bro? You looking all sexy, man. What the hell's going on? A good one's back today.
Alive, man. I'm just trying to be the vessel for the Almighty God. That's all.
I see.
I'm just trying to be the vessel for God.
You can really come into your own here and your own character and all that. I love it. Huh?
See, y'all can say I'm the popular one. He's going to pull in a lot of women with that look.
Yeah.
Sexy.
I'm trying to give him an answer. Send me some.
Good body, because I don't want them problems. I don't want none of those problems. Hey, Mr. Johnny Famous is on. Our guest is on. Oh, this is going to be a great show tonight. I feel it. I feel it. So it's so good. Again, I had to break out my little cup of Hennessy. So I'm only going to be doing that when I know a show is going to be up top. We got an A-lister going to be interviewed, so that's what we're going to do going forward.
Nice.
You know, give a little touch. As a matter of fact, now I'm Hennessy. It's cognac. We ain't giving Hennessy.
That's that
Cognac.
But what we are going to do, we are going to give away, since in honor of Black History Month, we are going to give away $100 gift certificate to some lucky person tonight for shopping, because we know, you're still paying those Christmas bills and credit card bills. So Ablaze and Residue Designs is going to make it a little easy for you, and we're going to give somebody $100 to go shopping and buy food for their refrigerator tonight. How about that?
Oh, nice.
How you like that? Oh, that's pretty cool.
I like.
But they're going to have to do something for us. They're going to have to get at least 10 followers to join our Ablaze page. How about that?
That's easy. Everybody knows 10 people.
Everybody knows 10
Everybody
people.
knows 10 people.
Everybody knows 10 people. That's easy.
Yes. Everybody knows 10 people. So before the end of the show, we got to give that away. Or we're going to have to come back depending on how this interview goes.
I invited you, Johnny Famous. Make sure your phone is off.
Yeah, and make sure your phone is off, Johnny. You're invited already. In the meantime, let me get started.
In the meantime,
Okay.
let's get the show
There he is.
on.
All right. Now you gotta do. There we go.
What's
Get
good,
him
guys?
Oh,
in the
Hey,
Fortune.
John.
building.
Part
Enough
Stay
respect, enough respect.
close to your,
two.
your
Yes.
phone or whatever your electronic device. Stay close to it because I notice when you get close to it, I can hear you clear.
You hear me?
That's perfect.
All right.
Everybody,
Good.
Yeah, clear word.
yeah,
How
that's
you
perfect.
guys doing tonight?
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. We're all good.
We vibing. We all
You
good,
know?
man. We happy to be alive.
I know. Hey, Sophia, on the check-in. Nani, I know you're busy today, and you really beat it home to make it for this interview, to finish this interview.
Yeah, I had to bounce from the Hamptons, and I had the deers darting out in front of me and all, but I got here.
Yeah, you got Belinda problems. That's y'all got white people problems. You don't have me problems. You don't have white people problems. Y'all got white people.
We're gonna go straight into the news with Belinda and then get into the interview because we don't got much time.
Yep.
Right.
So let's go. Let's get this.
Yeah, because I want to hurry and get you on.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's
because
get into it.
I'm going to do my news. I'm going to do it really quick because we need to hear about the shoes. But then I have to get off because I have a plane to catch. So I'll be out of the country.
See that?
All right.
See that? I told y'all these are white people problems that Belinda has. Belinda
It's time for the entertainment news with me, Belinda James, and I am the media queen. I am brought to you from Word Up Publishing when I was the editor there, and now I'm carrying on the legacy with Blown Woofer magazine and Modelocity online magazine. So here we go. All right, so it was the funeral today for Tyree is today, and I'm sure everybody heard about it. He got beat up by the cops and everything. So Tyree's funeral today. Condolences goes out to his family, and it's just a shame to see 5 Black cops act in such a way. And for us to see that video, it was like seeing Rodney King all over again, except we had Black cops. And I guess the Black cops were really proud of themselves, the way they gave him a beating to show the world, look, 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 we got one of them. See, one of them. And this is ridiculous. It's absolutely insulting. And now they're going to pay for it. So here we go. Happy birthday to Oprah Winfrey. She turns 69 now, and she had a star-studded birthday party. So, well, actually, it was a grand opening for a cosmetic line, and she just happened to be there on her birthday. So they gave her birthday cake. So happy birthday, Oprah.
We got feedback. We got feedback, Belinda. We got feedback, and that's weird.
Feedback from me.
I don't know where it's coming from.
So testing, 1 2 1 2. So on social media, so chime in with me on social.
It's just the connection. We all. Sorry, guys, we got feedback again, but I'm sorry, Belinda, to interrupt you, but I'm reading the comments. So, but sorry, guys, I apologize for the feedback. But go ahead, Belinda.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't come out like that. So those gremlins, the gremlins are at it again.
Yeah.
And they know we want to talk. I gotta get through this because I gotta get to the shoes. So
Right, keep going.
on social media, Pusha T left Kanye West's record label. The internet went crazy. Body, what's up? I mean, if he walked, it's because maybe Kanye is not giving him enough light.
I say business-wise, he probably doing what he got to do business-wise, but if that's your friend, still stand with your friend as a friendship, as your boy. When your boy going through it, don't leave your boy when he's down and out.
Excuse me. Is anyone on speakerphone?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, So until we hear the whole story from Pusha T on why he left, then you know, we can't say he just left because everybody is, you know, hammering on Kanye.
I still believe in friendship. I don't know. Maybe I'm different. If I'm with you to the wheels fall, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna leave your side.
And you're right. So if it's friendship, I hope Kanye didn't screw Pusha T. So here we go. So another documentary is getting ready to come out on Michael Jackson. And guess who's playing Michael Jackson? I know you don't know. It's Jafar, and it's Jermaine's son. And they say Jermaine's son looks just like Michael, acts just like Michael. So he's the perfect person to play Michael. So congratulations to Michael. On another podcast, Flavor Flav said he spent $2,500 a day on drugs for 6 years.
Wow.
Unbelievable. 6 years, that's about $5 million. But hey, that's what he wanted to do with his money. That's what he wanted to do. Some of us buy houses, some of us buy clothes. He brought drugs.
Yep, those early days with public enemy. Actually, it is funny because before I don't had Andre 13 here, and he was the chief police officer in me for 15 years. And in all those early days, flavor was high. In those early days, all the time.
All the time. Okay, well, he had fun, and thank goodness he still has his memories because he remembers.
Thank God he's still alive. Thank God he's still alive.
Right. Yeah, but I don't know what condition his insides are in. So sending love and healing energy out to Flavor Flav. Ain't nothing wrong with him, but just in case, you know. There you go. And one more thing. So Drake had a concert at the Apollo Theater, and a fan fell from the balcony down to the lower level. Now, if you wanted lower level seating, you should have got lower level seating instead of trying to fall from the balcony. Now you done messed up everybody's night. This is ridiculous. But he's okay. They stopped the concert, made sure he was okay, and he's all good. But you know what? That's it, damn it. That's it for the entertainment news. More, go to MediaQueenPublishing.com. Now let's get to this interview, Anton.
All right. Thank you.
That distortion that we getting, Anton, is getting crazy, bro. I don't know where you at, but it's you. It's you, bro.
It's me. I don't know what's going on in the studio. I don't know what.
I hope it's not me.
No, it's not you. It's not. It's the studio got bad stuff in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's probably something in the studio because just let me let you guys know everything that's in there.
And we can't even hardly hear you talk when you talk. You might have to go off and come back on.
All right, I'm gonna go out and come back.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk. Look, it's nice and clear, right?
No, it's still there. What? Huh?
No, I can hear you guys good. I can hear you good.
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear us good?
Yeah, I can hear you really good. I have no distortion in
Can
my
you hear feedback coming from me?
No, not at all. You guys are good.
And so, Bonnie, is feedback coming when you talk?
Yeah. What the hell?
I can hear you.
Hold on.
Oh, no. Looks like Bonnie have to go off and come back. Then that cuts us off.
No.
And I'm gonna listen to the interview as well, so I can jot stuff down, because I need you to send me your pictures of your shoes so I can put it in the issue of both magazines.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because one is about fashion and the other one is about music and fashion. So they go in both, so it's perfect. Okay?
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. this social media platform. It always has its bugs.
It does. It definitely does.
Yeah, every time I do a podcast on this Instagram, there's always a problem. It's never really smooth.
Wait, they might.
Is they back?
I invite Anton back.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Anton. Welcome to Real Talk with Anton. My first question for you.
You gotta get to the shoes first. How
No,
did you
absolutely.
get yeah.
We already told part one, so
right.
I'm disciplined tonight. I'm gonna get straight to it.
You know, but it was so interesting, you know. And if you didn't hear part one, you got to go back, guys, and hear part one. It was so interesting. I was like, well, what about the shoes? What about the shoes? But it was it just built up to how you came to be a part, you know, of everybody. It was friends and how they came back to support you. So, yeah.
Yeah.
MKB was good, man. Hit me up. Inbox me. MKB Rico, inbox me. Get you on the next show.
Anton, he's still lost in the sauce.
And see,
I don't know what.
Body finished. I'm finished. Because you guys can talk and you need all the minutes you can get. There you go.
There we go. Start talking.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
now, while you guys are talking, feedback with you guys, but I know.
Okay.
Can you hear me clearly?
Not really, but I can hear you. So just ask away. Ask away.
Okay.
And we
All
can
right,
get started.
Again, Johnny, thank you for coming through, coming back for part two of this interview. And we're going to start at the beginning of what made you so pretty, Johnny Famous. You know it's about the battle shoe. You finding the pattern. After that, after you found it, what happened? Walk us through that.
After I had as we left off, the light bulb moment I seen there was a void in the marketplace of footwear for men, that there were no shoes that looked like Bally's. Everyone wanted Bally shoes again, especially the guys that are a little bit older than me and people from my, the golden age of hip hop. So moving forward, I got my patent for design. I went into manufacturing, went to some trade shows, met with some manufacturer. I started manufacturing out of China. It was cost efficient then. China wasn't as bad as they are now. So I purchased out of my own pocket 500 pairs of shoes. And remember, back then I had a wooden shoebox lined with velvet. And I remember when I had to go to the New Jersey port, Anton, you were the one to help me. You drove the U-Haul truck, and we packed it in that New Jersey port. And I purchased pairs. I took a chance. I took a chance on myself. No one's gonna believe in your dream like you. So I placed them in stores like the Coliseum in Queens, Detroit, Chicago, Brooklyn, Delancey Street. I put them in stores that I knew that I could be successful in. They were small retailers, boutique type stores, but right away they took off. I sold the 500, and I had to put those shoes because these store owners, they didn't believe in me at first. Most of them, they don't know anything about the culture and the history of fashion when it comes to African American people. So what I did was I put the shoes in the stores on consignment, and they sold. So when the owners, when you make them a believer, then they're calling you back for more shoes, and you're getting feedback from customers that wanted the colors. So I started selling more shoes. Then they started purchasing shoes for me, and I literally built my company by putting shoes on people's feet, and it was a snowball effect. It's great marketing, especially if you don't have marketing, big marketing dollars from magazines or anything back then.
So when that first one, what did you actually come in and growth coming back to you? So the audience knows, because you actually teach the class, believe it or not, for people that's going to be, involved, get involved in the fashion So what was your return?
My return has been great. I spent a lot of money out of pocket, and I knew. See, I never went to school for fashion design. I never went to school for nothing that has to do with a lot of these guys in the industry that went to FIT or all this. I learned, and I made the decision. This is what I wanted to do. So I knew I was going to learn from pain and losses. I knew I was going to learn from it. So I did take some losses, but I learned from it. I dealt with some people that rip you off, but I learned from that. I dealt with a lot of false promises, so I learned from that. But from those mistakes and learning from that, I was able to grow. The thing is, with anything you do, is you're not necessarily going to win the first time around.
No.
But as long as you stay in the game, you will eventually win. So literally, I took a lot of losses. My first run, I didn't make a lot of money. I made some money, but I knew that there was a market for the shoe. I knew that people were happy to see this shoe.
You established a lane for yourself.
Exactly.
That's so to speak. So once you started, moving, you knew you had something there. So what was your next move?
My next step, I wanted to get out of China, because China, when they deal with American companies, they play the American company game. If you're not present in China on your manufacturer floor, they will play games with you, like switch materials after you purchase or order. They'll switch materials on you. China was the worst, when it came to that. So I got out of China and I jumped on a plane. I started manufacturing from a person that I met that had knowledge of manufacturing in Mexico. So I jumped on a plane and went up to Guadalajara, Mexico, and that's up in the mountains, in the Baja Mountains, where they do racing. But there's a lot of footwear manufacturers there. So I took the plane, took the chance, went out there, and I tell you, I remember the first day I was there, the Mexican military pulled us out the car and had us up against the wall with M16s. Like, yo, what the fuck are you doing here? Because I didn't know, we were like really the only two. I brought my man with me. We were the only two black people in that town, really. Wow. And, I didn't know that El Chapo and all those guys, that was a stronghold of theirs.
Yeah, you were telling me about
it. That shit was dangerous as fuck.
Yeah, you said it was scary, like an outback or something?
Yeah, it was way up in the mountains, and that shit was crazy. Mexico is wow. But I started manufacturing out of Guadalajara, Mexico. But on my way coming back from Mexico, I have a cousin that lives in San Diego, California. And me and him might have talked every 7 years on the phone. He's an older cousin. I always looked up to him. His name is Tony Taylor. So I stopped in San Diego on the way back from Mexico, and I hang out with him in San Diego for the first time. So as soon as we get off the plane, he was like, "Hey, I want you to meet someone." So he brings me to meet Rodney Harrison from the NFL, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, actually, analysis on Sunday on ESPN.
Yeah, absolutely.
New England Patriots.
Yep. So, him and Rodney was really good friends. So Rodney, I showed him my shoes. He was like, "I'm here to support you, anything you need." So the next step was the most important step. Tony brings me to this giant restaurant in San Diego called Sea's. So I'm not really an NFL fan, but I know who Junior Seau was. A Hall of Famer, first ballot, incredible athlete. So he brings me to Junior Seau's restaurant. He introduces me to Junior. So I'm looking at Tony. I'm like, all these years we've been talking on the phone. Why the fuck you ain't telling me you've been running with these NFL players and all this shit? I would have been came out here to California. He was like, "Johnny, listen, if I would have told you this shit over the phone, you wouldn't have believed me." And I was like, wow. So he introduces me to Junior Seau. So me and Junior, we're up in his restaurant, and he tells me, I tell him what I'm doing. He looks at me. Junior had a way of reading through people. He looks at me. We speak for half an hour. He says, "Johnny, all the nights you've been praying to God for a miracle and a breakthrough in your business, and look what God has landed you right here with me." And at the time, Junior had his own show on I forget the network, but it was called Hard Sports Jobs with Junior Seau.
Yeah,
And
it was fun.
it was great. You know, I've seen people, Deion Sanders, everyone comes through, Marshall Falk, all of them came through San Diego just to hang out with Junior at his restaurant. It was as big as Dave and Buster's out here. Everyone came. So Junior tells me, he says, Johnny, you know what? I'm going to become your partner. And from here, you know, I'm gonna become your partner. We're gonna take it to the next level, and we're gonna start my footwear line, the Seau line. So I'm like sitting there, like, wow, how the fuck did this just happen? That was incredible. That's how it works. That's how it works. When you pray, God gives you those blessings at unexpected times. I had no idea, you know, this shit was gonna happen. So boom, me and Junior become partners. This man did things for me that he didn't have to do, that he wanted to see me win.
Right.
And it was crazy. I had help from Terrell Harris, Tobias Harris, his father, because he was a veteran. He had a clothing line. What was it, Anton? His clothing line was
Sports Generation, where he did
Sports Generation.
for several
He was successful for years.
All weekend, all weekend, several years. Yeah.
Yes, and so he came on board with me. So we were over in California for some times. I spent some times. I designed Junior's line with him. I stayed in San Diego for a while. And moving forward, you know, some years later, about a year or two later, Junior killed himself. And my cousin called me crying and was like, Johnny, you won't believe it, crying on the phone. At first, I thought he was joking. You know, after Junior threw big launch parties in Vegas for us at the Penthouse of Caesar's Palace, he did everything. He just upped and killed himself. That's how I understood that disease in the NFL, CTE, was real. Because I never thought that this man was suffering from anything, because he was the kindest guy, always a smile on his face, and he would always call everyone buddy. He would call me buddy. He was one of those California surfers, you know, but
do you know how
he was a special person.
When they did his autopsy,
he was different.
When they did his autopsy, and his family gave him permission to look at his brain, and
the brain.
50% of his brain was with that, whatever that CTE situation or whatever, how they have to determine testing. And they really NFL started taking very serious about the CTE.
Yeah, he was bad, and you know they donated his brain to science to study that, because the NFL players, you got to understand, he was one of the most feared, hard-hitting linebackers of all times. Oh yeah. So you got to understand, back then when he was coming up at USC and all that, you played through concussions. They didn't give a shit about concussions. It was about how many tackles and how hard you could hit. But I tell you, that guy had my back. I remember one time, I had got financed by and I got lucky my first time around by a hedge fund, a Wall Street hedge fund. I'm not going to say their names. They financed my whole production. They gave me a lot of money to finance this production. And I remember sitting at the table. It was these Wall Street hedge fund at Junior's restaurant. Me, Junior, my cousin Tony Taylor, Terrell Harris. And, you know, the hedge fund managers made a comment like, Junior, obviously your shoes are going to be up here and Johnny Famous down here. Junior Seau, he jumped up and said, fuck that. I want Johnny Famous up here with Junior Seau. Terrell Harris and all them turned around and looked at me like, what? Junior, he was the type of guy, he had my back, and it was surprising to see. He was a really good guy. He came from a big Samoan family. And
yes.
There was a preacher out there in San Diego. He had like 9 brothers and sisters, but it was a tragedy when he died, because I had to figure it out. I had to start all over from scratch. Right. You know, he was my guy. He was my friend, and I had a lot of influence. I met a lot of people, especially pro NFL players like Marshall Falk, Deion Sanders. I met them all through Junior. So anyways, after that, you know, I had to start all over. I really was at square one. I just sold the inventory that I had. I kept moving forward. I tried to stay positive, because you have your ups and downs. When you decide to be a business owner, people don't understand what you go through behind the lines when you're trying to figure it out. I didn't have millions of dollars given to me to run a company. I was literally what they call bootstrapping. You're selling shoe by shoe to build your company. So moving forward, I started selling more shoes. I started getting some celebrities that started wearing my shoes, and it wasn't because I gifted them the shoes and gave it to them for free, even though I did give away a lot of shoes. But people like Tracy Morgan, Mike Epps, some of these guys, it organically happened. I don't know how they got my shoes. They just showed up on their shows, on posts. Tracy Morgan brought like 7 pairs for me because I remember shipping it to his house, his residence out there in New Jersey. But most of the people that wore my shoes and dealt, you know, with me, even recently, I had the guy, Coach K from the Migos, the mogul. I just found out. Quality Control. He was just wearing a pair of my shoes at a party that they had out there. I believe it was a party that I forget her name, but she was on that. I forget her name, but she had the show, the New York hip hop, growing up hip hop, and she was married to the guy that went to prison. What's her name, Anton?
You talking about
Jim Jones.
Yandy.
He had a big party, and he was wearing my shoes there. So everything happened organically. You know, I just sold shoe by shoe and built my company. But after the Frank Lucas, I kept moving on. I mean, Junior Seau, then from a friend of mine, my good friend, Bernard Alexander, he introduces me to Frank Lucas. So Frank, you know, I've watched American Gangster like 1 million times, just like everybody else. I never thought that I'd meet this man. And I'm going to tell you, I have the utmost respect for Denzel Washington. Because after watching the movie and watching Denzel portray this man and then actually meeting him and dealing with him every day, he was that same exact character. He was bullish. He talked to people however the fuck he wanted. He still thought he was that big boss of the 70s. He was a bullish person. But me and Frank, I met him. We hit it off. And he would always tell me, Johnny, we're going to be big as Nike. We started his footwear line called the Frank Lucas Collection. And Frank,
how did that all come about? How did that all come about?
You know, I met Frank, and Frank was this type of old school guy. He didn't think small. He thought biggie. So when I was talking about him wearing my shoes, he was like, yeah, that's cool, but we're going to start mine as well. He wanted to make pure Gator boots, the old school 3/4 boots with the zip up, the hard bottom also. We made those shoes and they were beautiful. They were beautiful. And me and Frank, I dealt with Frank for a while, even when he was in nursing homes and he was really sick. I would just go there out to Jersey and sit and talk with him for hours and just pick his brains on what was true, what wasn't true about Hollywood, the movie, his life. He did have regrets. He told me, he said, but Johnny, I had no choice. He said, I watched them blow my brother's brains out of his head in North Carolina when I was 12 or 13 years old. And I hid in the woods for like 3 days. My only one that can get me out those woods is my father. It was terrifying. So he was saying to me, I came to New York with just a pair of pants and a shirt on my back. I had nothing. You know, and he did, you know, he told me he met Bumpy Johnson shooting pool. The guy was in there popping shit that he couldn't beat him, but he didn't have the money. He didn't have the money to play the guy. So Bumpy Johnson had told him, said, yo, kid, could you beat him? And he was like, yeah, I could beat him. So Bumpy is the one who put up the money. And he wound up beating the guy. So Bumpy took a liking to him. Other than that, you know, me and Frank, we made beautiful shoes, but then he had got really sick, and then Frank had passed away. He passed away, and you know, the family, the daughters and the son, Frank Lucas Jr., you know, I dressed Frank in his casket. They asked me to dress him and make sure he had a good homecoming, so I had the privilege to put Frank Lucas to rest and dress him from head to toe in his casket. And that was a privilege. After seeing that man first in the movie theaters, you know what I'm saying, and then meeting him in real life. That was a pleasure. Frank was he was a good guy. He had a soft spot. If he liked you, he loved you. And we just had like a father-son relationship. Yeah. Yeah, so moving forward from that, you know, I moved on. I sold more shoes, and I kept going forward, even in the tough times. You know, when I didn't know how I was going to piece this together and connect this dot, because, you know, when you're starting from the bottom, building something that you believe in, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. You know, you're going to face a lot of obstacles, but as long as you don't quit, and, you know, as long as you don't quit and you're willing to go, you know, with me, I could tell you 1,000,001 stories, so I'm trying to just keep to the script.
Right.
It's if you just keep moving forward, you will grow. You will grow. If you have a product, you know, and I started selling, I'm the one who really, to the footwear marketplace, that revived the Bally shoe. I'm the one that resurrected it. And sure enough, companies like British Walker, they took my lead and they started making shoes.
Yeah, they
Right.
But they told me
It didn't do well.
they said British Walker came in there, and they said that they're going to make shoes just like yours. They told them, but it's incredible that this shoe company has been around for more than 75, 80 years. British Walker is a distinct company that's been around. I believe they started in England, but now they're taking the lead. And they started making shoes just like the Johnny Famous, because I'm the only one that held the patent to that original Bally shoe. Bally got rid of that 35 years ago. But, you know, throughout these times, I remember meeting with Damon John. He has his office, Fubo. He had
Empire State Building, right?
and all that right over at the Empire State Building on the 16th. So I was in his weight room because he has an exercise room up there, and I was sitting in there. He was like, you know what, Johnny? I wonder why no one thought about this before you. He said this was a great idea. Your timing was right, but in a sense, he was trying to deter me as well. His thing was, well, Johnny, this would be a great shoe for Coogee because of the colors. He's like, you know what?
I wonder why. Coogee.
Yeah, Coogee. So he was like, you know what? Let me. I want you to come back here in 2 months. Let me see your orders. I want to see what this footwear, how receptive they are in the marketplace. I knew from that moment when I left that office, I was never going back there, for the simple fact Damon John is a mogul. So I knew he was going to cut me a check, get me out of the way, and take it elsewhere. So I knew, I made the decision when I left there, I wasn't going back. I was going to build this footwear on my own. So then when me and him meet again, I got leverage at the table, because now I can account for X amount of sales. I've sold thousands of pairs of shoes and shipped shoes worldwide, from Japan to England. You know, it's a big marketplace. You just have to find your niche and your following. Once you find your following, your niche, you're good. And you just build your brand. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to do too much, because with social media, it was perfect for me because it was a free platform then for me to really get my brand out there. But I've had people like CeeLo Green. I've had multiple artists reach out to me and was like, I heard of your brand. I'm a fan. I love it. I love the Bally. Still to this day, I had to get, like I said, the guy from the Migos, Coach K, wearing my shoes. I didn't give him any pair of shoes. I don't even know how he got my shoes, but it's just an organic growth.
Yeah,
Right.
You know, people will find you. They will find you. Yeah, I actually met Groovy Lou from Carmelo Anthony. I became friends with Carmelo Anthony's brother, Black Just. Shout out Black Just. He's Carmelo's older brother, and he introduced me. I also met a gentleman, B, rest in power. He was one of the 5 percenters that originated the 5% Nation. As a matter of fact, he ran the school of Mecca in Harlem. He recently passed away. But I was introduced, B is the one who introduced me to Carmelo in there. And he was a gangster. He was locked up, I believe, back in the days with John Gotti. He was one of those, an old school gangster, but he took a liking to me. He would call me every time when he had somebody that wanted shoes. He was just a good old school brother. He was a gentleman. And I was thankful to meet him, you know what I'm saying, before he was passing. RB was one of the real ones.
So let's talk about your other branding along with the women's. Because I know you dabble in the women's line a little bit. I know religious things, but I know you shied away from that, right? With the women's shoe.
Yeah, we wanted to start a women's line because I had so many requests from women. Johnny, where the women's shoes at? And you know, their business is way bigger than the men's footwear, women's shoes and everything. But the pandemic happened, and with all production all over the world, everything was shut down. You couldn't get materials, you couldn't get anything. But it was also the perfect timing for up and coming brands because now these factories were desperate for production. Like all the big box companies like Polo and all that, they weren't producing shit. No one wanted to take a risk because everything was closed. So if you was a small footwear company, you could take advantage of that because they lowered their minimums and from like 1,500 pairs per order because they don't make money unless they're producing more than 2,000 pairs, 2,500 pairs. They don't really make money, but they lowered their minimums to like 200 to 300, you know, pairs. And a smaller brand, you could take advantage of that. So during the pandemic, I was able to pivot. So I started just producing like 300 to 200 pairs in each color. But lo and behold, people were just sitting home getting that free government money, and they were doing nothing but on the internet just buying. So I was literally selling shoes during the pandemic from home because people had nothing to do. They had that free government spending the checks they were sending, and they would just buy shit. Yeah. So I stayed afloat, you know, because I was selling shit during the pandemic, which it worked for me. And then when everyone started going back outside, all I did was you know, and I had the hustler's mentality. I said, I'm going to keep manufacturing shoes. I'm going to keep inventory because when this pandemic is over, people will be eager to go out. Because they haven't been out in so long. They're going to be eager to party. So I knew that I was going to be in line to cater to that, you know, the population that just wanted to get out. They wanted to go party. They wanted to go to weddings. So I aligned myself. When the pandemic was over, I seen a boom in sales because people were shopping. They were looking for things to go out when stores were opening up. It hasn't bounced back from 5 to 7 to even 8 years ago. Not exactly, but we're better than what we were, you know? Yeah, but the women's, I'm still going to do the women's, I'm still going to do the women's. It's just that I brought this designer on that deal with really women's shoes. And these are dope designers, Japanese, and we're going to build a nice women's line. We're going to start with the sandals and the flats. I want to cater to the Caribbean. I started selling a lot of shoes in the Caribbean because most of my followers and people that buy my shoes are Caribbean people. Yes. Yeah, like a lot of my following comes from Jamaica, the Virgin Islands. Yeah. You don't necessarily have to sell shoes in the United States to make money. Your goal is to sell shoes worldwide. Whatever business you're in, you want to sell goods worldwide. That's when you're really going to see. And then sometimes it's better to break out your brand in Europe than here in the United States. It's better to do it there. You know, they're more receptive to wearing colors. They, in a sense, America is more of where slaves put names and brands. You see, it's not Gucci or Louis Vuitton and it's not. They're driven by that. Footwear, especially sneakers, it's very hard to come out with a new sneaker and come out here in the States because no one wants to be associated with Skips. If it's not a Nike, Adidas, or a major brand, it's going to be very hard. If you have a shoe, and I knew I wasn't just coming out with a shoe of a design that I thought of in my head. I knew that Yeah, I knew that this shoe was iconic. Dougie Fresh, Slick Rick, they made songs. These shoes adorned many album covers in the 80s when hip hop was in its golden era, and I knew that this shoe already had a successful track record, this style of shoe. And I did my homework before I came out. I did my homework for at least 3 to 5 years before I came out with the shoe. So I did some planning on it, and I did it myself. Like I said, last episode we did, I had went to Stony Brook University because I found out that that was the depository library for trademarks and patents. I didn't have money to pay a lawyer for my trademark and patent back then. I went to Stony Brook and I learned how to do it myself. I went into the science and engineering library and I figured it out how to do it myself. So all my trademarking, all my patents, I did it myself. I found it myself. I got the necessary paperwork from the Patent and Trademark Office. And they actually teach you on how to do it. You know, the Trademark and Patent Office will give you the paperwork on how to do your own trademark as if you do your homework and follow through with it. I learned how to do it myself. So I never knew to pay a lawyer to do that. So now it got a little tricky now because you can't do it by paper anymore. It has to all be electronic. Right. So it's cheaper to do it that way. It's better to do it that way. But if you don't know what you're doing and you make a mistake, you just wasting money because that money you pay for that fee, you won't get it back.
Right.
So anybody out there that ever needs any help with trademark and patents, get at me. I know how to do it.
Yes, yes.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
You got a very small team. Talk to us about the role that your wife plays in this company.
Well, she's like my biggest critic. You know, so she just sit back and watch it. She really never was like hands-on because she knows I'm not the type of guy that, you know, hey, I can tell you right now, I just really, she just played in the background and gave me some ideas here from time to time. But she's not the type that really got involved in it like that. She just let me go on my own.
But she does look at people, see your models, and she sees those things. When she sees those things,
there's really, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. There's really no, how could I say it? There's no really action from her. You know, she's the type to just sit back and say, you know what, you should be doing this with social media. You should be doing that. And then she'll just leave it alone. Because you got to understand, sometimes when, I don't know how different relationships work, but sometimes if it's a man and a woman, you just got to sit back and you got to let your partner make those mistakes to learn. You see what I'm saying? So if I could say anything, she just sat back and watched the growth. That's it. She sat
please
back
ask her about the women's shoes. Make sure you got padding in it. And you said you're going to start out with sandals. Make sure them straps don't be hurting.
Yes, sandals. Yeah, absolutely. I get all my feedback from women. You know, I speak to women all the time, and I like, especially when I see women that are really fashion forward and they like the dress, I get feedback on what women really want that look like us. What are they looking for? Because there's a lot of shoes out there that women want that they can't buy. You just got to find a void on what's not available, and you make it available.
So real quick, Johnny, we got about 8 minutes. 8 minutes left. What's the future for Johnny?
You know, honestly, I just want to grow and I want to sell shoes worldwide. I want to grow. I have different opportunities in front of me now. I just want to grow. I want to get to the level like Sean John where I could just license out Johnny Famous name. And you just say and you make millions of licensing, because that's where a lot of those guys like Russell Simmons and all those guys, you know, Russell Simmons laid out the blueprint.
Yes,
you build the brand, and then the sharks will come and pay you out to take it over. You see? And they're out there. Once they see your growth and they see you selling units, you know, numbers speak everything. I want to get to that point where I could just license the name of Johnny Famous. And I've dealt with licensing. I had the licensing for Old Dirty Bastard. I partnered with him and his wife, and I started creating shoes, a collab of Old Dirty Bastard and Johnny Famous. We did well. We did well. We sold shoes.
Wide Body signed the contract with Johnny Famous shoe line for fat people shoes, wide body shoes. For big men who wants to wear their wide, nice shoes. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Let it grow.
Now, absolutely, it's crazy you say that because we're starting to make shoes for big and tall, for the big and tall community. It's very hard for the big and tall size 15, 16, 17, 18 to find shoes. Yeah. I dealt with a lot of ball players, and it was very hard for them to find shoes in their size. So, you know, I noticed that. So right now we're in the mix of creating shoes for the big and tall community. They can't find any style shoes in their size. It's very hard, and a lot of companies don't want to gamble on making those sizes because there's few and far people, you know, that wear those big sizes. When you look at that as a whole, you got to look at it as in a global market and not just the market that you see that can be successful in your backyard. Right. Yeah, I mean, it's cool to sell material stuff and the people you know in your own town, but you got to think biggie. You got to, and I got this from Frank Lucas. That was his mindset. Frank wasn't the one that thought about just selling here and there. He was thinking on a global aspect. And you got to really broaden your horizon. That's, I want to sell shoes worldwide. I want to sell shoes worldwide. I just do not want to cater to this box of just nationwide. I've done that. And do I think I have room to grow? Yes, because there's a lot of people still out there that don't know anything about Johnny Famous. Yeah. And, you know, so I definitely want to reach more doors. It's crazy right now, and I've worked on the last 2 years of building my online store. The online store is really where you see a profit margin. I mean, you can wholesale the shoe stores all day, brick and mortar, but they're dying. Right. Brick and mortar stores are dying every day from every city I go to. Those independent retail mom and pop stores, they don't exist anymore because of the gentrification that's going on in every city. These stores had leases for 30 years in Harlem, wherever. After that 30 years is up, they couldn't afford that rent no more. That rent skyrocketed in every city, so they're being pushed out, and all you see is big box stores. So right now, if you have a business, you gear your business around your online presence. And, you know, Johnny Famous having your own store, your own website, that is very important. Yeah. That is very important. That's where you see your biggest profit margin. So, yeah, right now, that's where I'm geared towards building my online presence, my online stores, and just selling shoes worldwide. God has been good for me so far. This
week, last week, very body page, say, no, body to God.
Or Wide Body to God. Just type in Wide Body to God, y'all can find me or save me a day. But Wide Body to God. D-A-G-A-W-D. It's God always with Gary. That's why I got the G-A-W-D.
No, that's good.
You get ready to go on. I never knew that. Where you headed this time?
Saint Lucius. Lucas.
Saint
Lucia. I'm sorry, Saint Lucia.
Okay.
Saint Lucia.
Okay.
Yeah, business and pleasure with my sister-in-laws. There's 8 of us and a whole bunch of, it's a Afro Fest. So it's a business and pleasure.
Right.
Well,
have
fun.
Thank you. I'll be back in time for the next show, for next week.
Yep, absolutely. And like I said at the beginning of this show, in lieu of Black History Month, this week we will be giving away $100. You know, everybody is paying credit card. It's tough out there with money. So what thing you have to do, you have to tag 10 people to the Ablaze page. Monica, Johnny, she did a great job.
She